Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got a really strange case on the desk today. It is a
Yeah.
mystery that has been driving me absolutely crazy for the better part of 2 decades.
Yeah, it's a frustrating one, but it is also fascinating.
Right. So we are looking at a band that right now in 2026 is just massive. I mean, looking at the tour dates we have in the notes here, they're headlining the Sick New World Festival in Vegas. They're doing a massive stadium run in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
With Queens of the Stone Age, yeah.
Exactly. So by every single metric, they're one of the biggest rock acts on the planet.
And yet,
And yet, they haven't released a full studio album since the Bush administration, like since 2005.
it's basically the great paradox of modern metal. We are talking, of course, about System of a Down.
We are. And usually, when a band stops making music for 20 years, they fade away.
Yeah.
Or they break up and do the reunion tour when they run out of cash.
Right, the classic cash grab. But these guys never really broke up. But they also never really got back together. They're just in this weird limbo. So, looking at the stack of sources we have today, and we've got a lot here, from Kerrang archives to Serge Tankian's memoirs to some very obsessive Reddit threads. What is the actual mission here? I mean, are we just gossiping about rock stars fighting?
No. I think
Mhm.
the mission is much deeper than that. This isn't just a basic, he said, she said thing. It's really a case study in creativity versus chemistry. We're trying to figure out how four Armenian Americans from LA conquered the world, why they imploded at the absolute height of their power,
And
and
what kind of weird truce keeps them going?
exactly the fragile truce that allows them to stand on a stage together tonight, even though they can barely agree on a lunch order.
It does read like a geopolitical thriller at times, honestly.
It really does. You've got these arguments over foreign policy, fierce fights over publishing royalties, and a literal screaming match over a single word in a song lyric that almost ended the band before they even really started.
Well, if we're going to understand the silence of the last 20 years, I guess we have to understand the noise that started it. So let's go back to 2001.
Oh, yeah. The year of toxicity.
Now, I was looking at the production notes for this album. Everyone calls it a masterpiece. Now it's on every greatest metal albums list you can find. But the process of making it sounds, efficient isn't the word I'd use.
No. Psychological warfare might be closer to the truth. They were working with Rick Rubin,
The legendary producer.
the legend.
Oh.
And Rubin has this philosophy of overwriting. He doesn't want a band to come in with 10 good songs, record them, and go home. He forces them to write 30, 40, maybe 50 songs.
Wow. Why? Just to pick the best ones.
Partly, yeah.
Hmm.
But the theory, and it's actually a brilliant one, is that if you only write 10 songs, you get defensive over them. You protect them because they're all you have.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. If you write 40, you stop caring as much about each individual track. You just let the ego go. It creates this survival of the fittest environment where only the absolute undeniable songs survive.
But that sounds like a total recipe for burnout. Like, if I had to write 40 scripts to get one deep dive done, I'd just quit.
And it was exhausting for them. It led to some really bizarre experimentation just to keep things interesting.
Yeah.
There's a wild detail in the oral history about the song Psycho. You know that weird, wobbly, oscillating sound in the intro?
Yeah, it sounds like a synthesizer or maybe a sci-fi sound effect.
Yeah, it's actually Duran Malakian's guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But he couldn't get the specific wobbly sound he wanted with a standard pedal.
Mm-hmm.
So he literally took a vibrator, a personal massager, and held it against the guitar strings while he played.
You're kidding.
Not at all. That's the level of whatever takes creativity they were operating in.
Okay, so Duran is in the corner with a vibrator, but while they were having fun with that, the interpersonal stuff was already getting super ugly. Which brings us to the tapeworm incident.
Ah, the tapeworm incident. This story is legendary because it seems so petty on the surface, but it actually explains everything about why they can't make music today.
Set the scene for us. What happened?
So they're recording the song Needles. Serge Tankian, the lyricist and vocalist, has a line in the chorus. It goes, "Pull the tapeworm out of my ass."
Okay, I mean, it's System of a Down. That seems pretty on brand for them. They talk about eating seeds as a pastime activity. Tapeworm out of my ass fits right in.
You would think that. But Daron Malakian and Shavo Agagian, the bassist, they absolutely hated it. They sat Serge down and said, "You have to change it."
Why? Was it too vulgar for them? Were they worried about radio play or something?
No, not at all. They thought it sounded vulnerable. They thought saying my ass wasn't cool. They wanted him to change it to pull the tapeworm out of your ass, or just the ass. They want to generalize it.
Wait, they're arguing over a pronoun?
They were arguing over ownership. And this is the key to everything. Serge refused. He said the song was about extracting negativity from himself. If he changed it to your ass, it becomes an accusation against someone else.
Oh, wow.
Right. If it's my ass, it's a confession. It changes the entire philosophical meaning of the song for him.
That's actually a pretty profound distinction for a song about intestinal parasites.
Exactly. But Rick Rubin said this argument went on for days. It was a total stalemate. It almost broke up the band right there in the studio. Serge eventually threw down his papers and said, "This is the line. If you don't like it, find another singer."
And obviously they blinked. The line is in the song.
The line stayed. But it shows you that even when they were winning, they were fighting for control over every single inch of the canvas. It wasn't a collaborative jam session vibe. It was a battle for territory.
And then they finish the album. They're ready to conquer the world. And the world literally falls apart. I honestly didn't realize how tight the timing was between Toxicity and 9/11.
It is genuinely eerie when you look at it. The album was released on September 4th, 2001. It hits the charts. And it debuts at #1 on the Billboard 200 on exactly September 11th.
The morning of the attacks.
The very morning. So you have this album, which is full of anxiety, aggression, and themes of toxicity and urban decay, becoming the soundtrack to the most chaotic week in modern American history.
And looking at the timeline in the notes here, the chaos actually started a week before 9/11. There was that riot in Hollywood.
Right, Labor Day weekend. They planned a free show in a Hollywood parking lot to just thank the fans for the album support. They expected maybe a few thousand people.
Like a nice little block party?
Not quite. Estimates say 10 to 15,000 people showed up. They completely overflowed the lot into the streets. The fire marshal took one look at it and shut it down before the band even played a single note.
I can't imagine that went over well with the metal crowd.
The crowd went berserk. They stormed the stage, they destroyed the band's gear, tens of thousands of dollars of equipment smashed to pieces, all while the band watched from a hotel window across the street.
So they have a riot, then a week later the towers fall, then they have the #1 album in the country. They must have been under an intense microscope.
Microscope is putting it lightly. They were in the crosshairs. You have to remember the atmosphere in late 2001. Patriotism was very high, fear was very high, and tolerance for dissent was zero.
I remember Clear Channel had that list.
Yes, the Do Not Play list. Clear Channel, which owned a huge chunk of radio stations across the country, sent out a memo of songs to avoid because they might be seen as insensitive. System of a Down's Chop Suey was on that list.
Because of the self-righteous suicide line.
Exactly. Even though the song had nothing to do with terrorism, the word suicide was enough to get them pulled. But then Serge, being Serge, he just threw gasoline on the fire.
This is the essay.
2 days after 9/11. While the smoke is literally still rising from ground zero, Serge posts an essay on the band's website titled Understanding Oil.
Oh, man. Talk about reading the room, or not reading it at all.
He was trying to be intellectual about it. He was analyzing U.S. foreign policy, the history in the Middle East, basically asking why people hated America enough to do this. Now, in a college classroom in 2026, that's a standard debate. In September 2001, it was seen as outright treason.
Did the band back him up? Because I can imagine Daron or Chavo thinking, dude, we just want to play music, stop making us targets.
They were getting death threats. Sony, their label, was completely freaking out. But the band did back him up. They actually went on the Howard Stern show to defend Serge's right to speak. But this planted a seed. You have Serge, the activist, who sees the microphone as a tool for political truth.
Right.
And you have the rest of the band, specifically Dion and drummer John Dolmayan, who, while they are smart guys, really just wanted to be a successful rock band. They didn't sign up to be political targets.
So that tension simmers for a few years. They put out Mesmerize and Hypnotize in 2005, which are great albums, by the way. And then The Hiatus, 2006.
Silence.
And for a long time, the story we all heard was just burnout. We need a break. But looking at Serge's open letter from 2018, that was just a polite lie, wasn't it?
It was a total cover story. In 2018, Serge finally just laid it all out on Facebook. He basically confessed, "I am the reason we stopped."
Why? What was the actual breaking point for him?
It boils down to two things: money and control.
Right.
Classic band killers.
Break down the money part for me, because I think people assume if a band makes $1 million, they just split it 4 ways and everyone is happy.
That's rarely how it works in the industry. There are 2 types of money in music. Touring money, which is usually split evenly, and publishing money. Publishing is the money earned from writing the songs, radio play, streaming, licensing. That goes to the songwriter.
And in System of a Down.
By 2005, Daron was writing almost everything. The music, the structures, even a lot of the lyrics. So Darren was taking the lion's share of the publishing royalties. Serge felt that was unfair because the sound of the band came from all of them. He felt that Darren bringing a song in was just the skeleton and the band made it a body.
Okay, so Serge wants a bigger slice of the pie. What about the creative side?
Serge felt like he had become a hired gun in Darren's band. He didn't want to just sing Darren's songs anymore. So when they talked about coming back to make a new record, Serge had a list of demands. He literally called it a manifesto.
A manifesto. That sounds intense.
It was. He wanted equal creative input, meaning everyone gets a say in the songwriting. He wanted an even split of the publishing money, regardless of who wrote the song, and he wanted a full experience concept, whatever that means.
And the band said what?
They said no. Specifically, Darren said no. His view was, I'm the one bringing the songs. I'm the one doing the homework. Why should I subsidize everyone else? And why should I have to compromise my vision just to make you happy?
I mean, I kind of see both sides there. If I do all the work on a group project, I don't want to split the grade evenly. But if I'm the face of the project, I want to feel involved.
That's a total deadlock. But there is one detail in the sources that absolutely blew my mind. In 2017, they have a meeting to try and resolve this. And Serge actually proposes a replacement.
The replacement for himself.
Yes. He knew he was the roadblock. He told the band, look, I can't give you what you want. Go find a new singer. He literally told them to find someone, and this is a direct quote from the source, teach him how to growl in the parking lot.
Wait, teach him how to growl in the parking lot. That's so oddly specific.
Right. It implies he thinks what he does isn't that special. Or maybe he's just being really sarcastic. But the band's reaction is what's interesting. They completely refused.
Why? If Duran wants total control, wouldn't a new singer be perfect? Get some young guy who will just sing the songs and take a paycheck.
You would think so. But I think they know the truth. System of a Down without Serj Tankian isn't System of a Down. It's just a cover band. They would rather not record at all than record a fake version of themselves.
So they are stuck. But if the business side is messy, the personal politics seem even worse. We talked about Serj's activism, but we have to talk about the drummer, John Dolmayan.
Oh, yes. If the creative difference is a gap, the political difference is the Grand Canyon.
Now, obviously, we are just reporting what's in the sources here, not taking any sides. But the sources show Serj is very left-wing. Bernie Sanders supporter, talks about social justice, recognizes the Armenian genocide, which obviously they all agree on, but generally very progressive.
Correct.
And John is not.
John is a very vocal, very intense Trump supporter.
Give me some examples from the sources. I want to hear exactly what he's saying.
Well, according to the articles, John has posted on Instagram calling the movement to defund the police stupid. He called Donald Trump the greatest friend to minorities. He has criticized liberals as cowards. He is not shy about this at all.
This is what confuses the fans, though. You're listening to Toxicity, songs like Prison Song, which is all about how the prison system is corrupt and racist, and the guy playing the drums thinks the police need more funding.
It's absolutely baffling to the audience. In most bands, this would be the end. You cannot have the lead singer preaching revolution and the drummer calling that revolution stupid on social media. It just doesn't work.
So how do they survive it? They're clearly still touring. They are headlining massive festivals right now. They have to be in the same dressing room.
It's the family factor. This is the detail people often forget or just don't know. Serj and John are brothers-in-law. They're married to two sisters. So they aren't just bandmates. They're actual family. They see each other at Thanksgiving. They see each other at kids' birthday parties.
That has to be the most awkward Thanksgiving dinner in Los Angeles. Pass the turkey, and also, why did you call me an idiot on Instagram?
I can only imagine. But John calls it a brotherly love. He admits he gets frustrated with Serj, and Serj gets frustrated with him. John has said he's lost friends over his political views. But with Serj, there's this underlying protection. Serj has publicly defended John's right to his opinion, even when he fundamentally thinks that opinion is wrong.
It's a very human dynamic. It's just super messy.
It is. And it explains why they don't break up, but also why they can't create. You can be polite to your brother-in-law at dinner, but can you get in a room and write a song about the state of the world with him when you completely disagree on what the state of the world is? Probably not.
Well, except for that one time in 2020.
Nah. The exception that proves the rule.
We suddenly got two new songs, Protect the Land and Genocidal Humanoids.
And look at the catalyst for that. It wasn't money. It wasn't boredom. It wasn't a label demand. It was war.
This was the conflict in Artsakh.
Right. For those who don't know, this was a major escalation in the conflict between Armenia, Artsakh, and Azerbaijan and Turkey. For 4 Armenian Americans, this was existential. This was their people being attacked.
So the internal squabbles suddenly didn't matter.
Exactly. John sent a text to the group. He basically said, no matter how we feel about each other, we need to do this for our people. And they just dropped everything.
How much did they raise?
Over $600,000 for the Armedia Fund. And Chaval noted that the recording session felt natural. He said it felt like no time had passed at all.
Which is almost more frustrating for the fans, isn't it?
It's torture, because it proves they absolutely can do it. When the stakes are life and death, the friction disappears. But the moment the immediate crisis passed, the silence returned. They haven't recorded a note since.
And that brings us to today, 2026. The Sick New World Festival. The huge stadium tours. Is there any hope? Or are we just watching a very profitable nostalgia act?
If you read the recent quotes from Duran, it's pretty bleak. In 2025, he told Kerrang, "I'm not sure how much I want that anymore."
That sounds like someone who has completely moved on.
He made a really interesting point, actually. He said, it's been so long since Hypnotize that a new album wouldn't feel like a continuation. It would be a restart. He feels like that moment in time, the System of a Down moment, has passed.
So what are they doing creatively? Because these are incredibly creative guys. They can't just sit around.
They are satisfying those itches elsewhere. Serge is doing film scores, painting, writing books. He's very prolific. Daron has his band Scars on Broadway, where he can basically be the dictator and write exactly what he wants without a manifesto getting in the way.
And System of a Down becomes what? A museum piece?
It becomes a monument. John Dalmayan is the one who is most bitter about this. He has said publicly that they are squandering a gift from God. He thinks it's a tragedy that they aren't making music.
That's a heavy word. Squandering.
It is. But I want to offer a different perspective to you listening, and maybe to John.
Go ahead.
Think about how many bands stay together too long. They release 5 or 6 mediocre albums. They chase trends. They turn into a parody of themselves. You go to see them and you say, man, I wish they would just play the old stuff.
That's very true. There's really nothing worse than a legacy band trying to sound like they are 25 again when they're 50.
System of a Down released 5 nearly perfect records. They stopped at the absolute peak of their powers. Maybe the friction that destroyed them is also the exact and only reason the music was that good in the first place?
That's a really good point. The tension between Serge's poetic philosophy and Daron's metal aggression is the sound.
Exactly. You can't have one without the other. And if they can't exist in the same room anymore without killing each other, maybe it's better they don't try to fake it.
So we have a band defined by conflict. The same energy that caused riots in parking lots and arguments over tapeworms is what made Toxicity a masterpiece. And it's exactly what keeps them apart today.
It's a perfect circle.
I want to leave you with a thought today. We always clamor for more from the artists we love. We want the new album, the big reunion. But in the case of System of a Down, is the silence actually a form of integrity? Are they respecting the art by refusing to dilute it? Or, like John says, is it just a tragic waste of time?
It's the ultimate what if.
It certainly is. If you haven't listened to Toxicity in a while, go put it on. It sounds just as urgent and angry today as it did on that Tuesday morning in September 2001. Thanks for diving in with us.